युहुन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं यं गुरुं हि श्रियं सत्यः प्रज्ञाभक्तिविनीतयः दीप्तिश्चाविव्रता नित्यं तं गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Verse 45. एकोऽयं परमेश्वरः सकलगः सर्वान्तरात्मा वशी स्वात्मानं बहुधा करोति भुवनाकारेण मायावशात् ब्रह्माद्याखिलचेतनेप्सितकरः नित्यस्वबुद्धौ स्थितम् ये पश्यन्त्यममत्रयान्ति तैमे शान्तिं सुखं नेतरे मन्यन्ते यतयस्तदेतदिति च निर्देश्यमुच्चैः सुखम् जानीयां तदहं कथं विधिबुधः कुर्याद्विचारं धिया सूर्येन्द्वग्न्युडुविद्युतोऽत्र न लसन्त्येनं ह्यनुद्योतते भान्तं सर्वमिदं रुचास्य लसति ब्रह्मैतदेशोऽस्म्यहम् मायाबीजभवस्पृहाम्बुकलितः ब्रह्माङ्कुरः प्राणभृत् लिङ्गस्कन्धधरस्सुरादिमतनू शाखस्त्रयीपत्रभृत् नैकात्मा विषयप्रवालकलितः यज्ञादिपुष्पः सुखैः दुःखैश्चाविफलैर्युतोऽखिलजगत् जगन्नीडश्च भूताण्डजः नानाशब्दसमागमादितुमुलध्वानश्च कर्मानिलैः नुन्नश्चञ्चलयेष संसृतिमही योऽन्तेह्यभावात्मकः सम्यक्ज्ञानमयासिना सुकरणीयोच्छेदयेतस्य तत् मूलं ब्रह्म शुक्रमृतं मिथ्यैषमर्त्यः पुनः कार्यं कारण एव तिष्ठति च तत् नात्येति मृत्कुम्भवत् तन्नात्येति मृत्कुम्भवत् तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि कारणेऽस्ति सकलं नात्येति तत्किञ्चन लोकोऽयं ननु कम्पते सति बृहत्यस्मिन्नतो निर्गतः भीतोऽस्मात् परमुद्यतादिवपवेः एतद्विदन्तो मृताः. So we have read up to verse 49. So now we will read 50. भीतोऽग्निर्दहति प्रभोस्तपतिकः भीतोऽग्निर्दहति प्रभोस्तपतिकः
भीतोऽग्निर्दहति प्रभोस्तपतिकः
तापं निहन्त्यम्बुजः
तापं निहन्त्यम्बुजः
Tāpam nihantyambujaha Jishnurvarishati kampate pipavanaha Jishnurvarishati kampate pipavanaha Jishnurvarishati kampate pipavanaha Shampakshanam dyotate Shampakshanam dyotate Shampakshanam dyotate Sarvam bhūsahate payo nidhiraho Sarvam bhūsahate payo nidhiraho Sarvam bhūsahate payo nidhiraho payo nidhiraho payo nidhiraho Nagacchati svavadhehe Nagacchati svavadhehe Nagacchati svavadhehe Lokan panti ca lokapanu bahunam Lokan panti ca lokapanu bahunam Lokan panti ca lokapanu bahunam Mrityuf param dhavati Mrityuf param dhavati Mrityuf param dhavati. This verse 50 which we read now summarizes the third mantra of the sixth Valli. The third mantra of the sixth Valli is a simple mantra. I will just chant the mantra. Bhayad asyagnistapati Bhayad tapati suryaha Bhayad indrascha vayuscha Mrityurdhavati panchamaha. This is how the Katha Valli mantra goes. Bhayadasya agnihi tapati. So you may recall that we were trying to describe the moolam of the Jagat. See, urdhamulam adhashakham. That is how it started, right? So the moolam of the Jagat, Brahman, so which presents itself in a variety of forms, including the forces that govern the motion of everything. So this is how we have to understand. Then things will become much more clear. So in this world, so we understand that any kind of a motion that we can conceive of is essentially caused by a certain force. So the force that is involved in generating the motion of every object is also Brahman. Now keep this in mind. So the mantra says Bhayadasya agnistapati Bhayahat tapati suryaha Bhayad indrascha vayuscha Mrityurdhavati panchamaha. Here the word panchamaha refers to fifth entity. In fact, panchama is used in various senses. So particularly, so those who are patita, those who have absolutely no understanding of dharma, so just they go and act the way they like, they are described as panchama. So assuming that the other four so stick to the kind of discipline to some extent to which they are supposed to. Okay, so this is how we use the word panchama. This panchama here, in fact, see, my father sometimes he makes fun of these. So once he was saying Bhayadasyagni Bhayat. So then he says Panchamat we have Bhaya today. So we are all fearing of Panchama today. So this is another way. So I will not elaborate on that. So Bhayad asyagnis tapati Bhayat tapati surya. Panchamaha eva adya mrityu mrityava. Mrityu. Okay. Mrityu. Anyway, so Bhayat asya agnis tapati Bhayat tapati surya. In fact, there are 5 entities which are listed here. There is an absolute semblance with what we find in Taittiriya. So there we have Bhisha Smad Dvatah Pavate. Only the sequence is different. Bhishodeti Suryaha bhishasmadagnischendrascha mrutyurdhavati panchama iti. There also we find the word panchama uses. Mrutyurdhavati panchama iti. So how do we understand this? Bhayat asya agnihi tapati. Now today one may ask this question. Why is it that fire burns? What will you answer? Why water is cold? So you will say it is in nature of that substance. It is in the nature of that substance, right? So why is iron heavy mean? It is in the nature of that substance. Why is gold glittering? It is in the nature of that substance. Now one can ask this question, why is it that these objects are set into motion and they are moving in a certain order? So the answer that we have is, so there is a force which keeps governing this kind of motion, right? So as long as this force is there, so it has no other option but to behave that particular way, right? Now it is this force which we conceive as Brahman. So bhayat tapati. Okay. So it has no other option. So bhayadasya agnihi tapati. Bhayadasya. What is the mantra? Bhayadasya agnirdhati. Tapati. Bhayadasya agnistapati. Bhayat tapati suryaha. Bhayadindrasya vayuscha. Mrutyurdhavati panchamaha. This is how the mantra goes. So this is being elaborated by Rāmarāya in this verse. In fact, what Rāmarāya does is, he is adding 4 more entities besides the 5 which have been listed here. So let us see the verse. Bhito nirdhati prabhoho tapati kaha. The word kaha is somewhat tricky to understand here. Kaha tapati is the meaning that we will immediately get. So who is shining? This kaha has multiple meanings. So this ka shabda has a variety of meanings in Sanskrit. Bhito gnistapati dahati. Let us see. Okay. So tapati and dahati, they are more or less synonymous. Okay, it burns. See, tapanat dahaha. Okay. Bhito gnirdahati. Agnihi dahati. Kutaha dahati. Bhitasan dahati. Means there is a certain force which is governing and therefore it is doing that. Prabhoho refers to the one which was described in the previous verses. The moolam of all this. The moolam which makes things function the way they are functioning. The force that governs the order in which things are moving. So all of that. Bhito nirdahati prabhoho. Then tapati kaha. Tapati kaha. So here Rāmarāya himself has explained this kaha should be understood as suryaha. So it's this is one word which has so many meanings. There are of course a few words. They are known as normally nanarthaka shabdaha in Sanskrit. This nanarthakatvam can be sometimes obtained by doing a yogika vyutpatti. It is not that way. Okay. So on its own, here there is nothing like yogika vyutpatti that can be shown. So it is just a single letter, kashabda. In fact, some of these commentators, so they have really helped us, particularly in Sanskrit, but those texts are more or less not studied today. They are called as koshas. These koshas are essentially compiled by people to facilitate the individual in recalling the various meanings that can be associated to the word. In many of these, even now, in a couple of days back when I was giving a lecture, somebody was asking, so Sanskrit is very difficult because you say The word has multiple meanings. Then I said, so my father says, English is the most difficult thing. So because the words are not even pronounced the way they are written. So this is what he says. Okay. So then I just gave an example. The word right is used. It just came at that moment. Okay. Right. So right, W-R-I-T-E you can write. That also is pronounced right. R-I-G-H-T is also pronounced. So now this right, R-I-G-H-T, let us take. So take a right turn. What does it mean? Dakshinataha Gacchana. It is my right to speak here. Kechana vadanti. Okay. So what does right mean there? Okay. So this the moment one thinks of, okay. So sometimes we say this is the right thing to do. So the same word has multiple meanings in many places. It is the right thing to do. What do you say? So it is not that these people are just familiar with English and therefore they feel it is all easy. Right? That is not necessarily the case. Most of the people have this problem. Anyway, so I just gave this example. It is not true of this particular language. It is true of every language, and in fact other languages have more complication than this language. So it is the beauty of this language. Anyway, so asmakam ajñata tatra dosha rupena aropyate. See, this is the problem. See, you are ignorant, you try to superimpose on the other thing as if it is a flaw with that. Okay. So if you really know this, then you will see the joy that arises out of it. After all, in every sentence, many of these words have to be understood only with reference to the context. So here he says, Vito dahati prabhostapati kaha. The reason for saying kosha is, I just searched today. So I'll just say, see, because Aradhana is ready to note down, and then, okay. Kam shirah kam sukham toyam. Kam shirah kam sukham toyam. Kam shirah kam sukham toyam. Payo dukkham visham bhayam. Dukkham visham bhayam. Payo dukkham visham bhayam. So here, this basically gives the various senses in which the word ka can be used. Kam shiraha. Kam shiraha. Shiraha, where do you find the use? This is called kandhara. You know? Kandhara, so the one which actually bears the head. Okay. So kam shiraha. Kam sukham. Kam sukham. Okay. Kam kham brahma. We have in Upanishad. See, sukham sukha rupam brahma. Kam brahma, kam brahma. Both is good. So kam shirah, kam sukham. Kanja lochani. Kanja. Kanja means Padma. So that rises out of water. See, in Sangeeta we have many people. Kanja lochani. See. Kam shirah, kam sukham toyam. Payaha is milk. Dukkham visham bhayam. So they are all slight varying connotations. Kam shirah, kam sukham toyam. Payo dukkham visham bhayam. This is one set. There is another kosha. See. Kam keshe kanchanari nam. She kanchanari nam. Kankeshe kanchanari nam. Karane chatayor gani. Karane chatayor gani. Karane chatayor gani. So there are several senses in which the word come. Similarly, the word go has several meanings. Anyway, so one of the meanings is Surya. Okay, so that is how Ramaraya employs here. Tapatikaha tapam nihanti ambujaha. Ambujaha tapam nihanti. Here one would be tempted to understand ambujaha as Padma. So just now we said Kanjan. So ambujaha here is referring to Chandra. So this is in fact one of the earliest text that uses this is, it is described as water, born out of water, various things. Chandro jalam, they describe Chandro jalam, Arkaha agnihi, Mridbhu chhayapi tamastadhi, Mridu bhuhu. So this is how Aryabhata in his text describes. Anyway, Ambuja Chandra nihanti. Kim nihanti? Tapam nihanti. Jishnur varshati. The word Jishnu. Jishnu. We have, so those who have studied this Vishnu Sahasranam, we have this Vishnum, Jishnum, Mahavishnum, Prabhavishnum, Maheshwaram. There is a usage. Okay. So Jishnu, actually, there you see Vishnum, Jishnum, Mahavishnum, it is all referring to the one and the same person. But the connotations are slightly different. So Jishnu, basically, so Jayati, Jayatiti, Vishnu. In fact, there is an interesting verse which I just came across today when I was seeing this. See this Jishnu, in order to explain that, so there is a verse, maybe I'll just skip that verse. So it basically explains Vishnu, Jishnu and so on. So we'll just leave that. So Jishnu here should be understood as Indraha. Okay. So Jishnu is Jayatiti Jishnu. Okay. So this is how the simple interpretation of the word Jishnu. Jishnu Indraha Varishati. Then Pavanascha. See Kampate pi Pavanaha. Kampate pi Pavanaha. Okay. So air is in continuous motion. Kampate pi Pavanaha. But Kampate pi Pavanaha, you will see. So this time when I was traveling to Kolkata, I had an occasion to sit next to some other pilot, just talking about various things. So what is happening, how does the turbulence arise and how do we manipulate and all that. So most of us would have seen that there are these wings which are just, okay, so there will be some plate which will come up, right? Do you know what they are called? They are called as spoilers. Okay. What does it spoil? It spoils the flight. You understand? So when the flight is moving forward, I have read it little bit, so I was just clarifying. So one is called the ground spoiler, the other is called a flight spoiler. I mean, it has to do with the function that they are performing. So when are they activated? When something is activated on the ground, you will call it as a ground spoiler. Anyway, what it does is, so we need lift for this to go up, right? So when the lift is reduced, so lift is being spoiled by them. Okay, and there is something called thrust. So anyway, so something will increase, something will decrease. So therefore they are called as spoilers. So the reason for now saying is Kampate. So the same wind, so if it is acting slightly differently, so then Kampate, the whole thing, okay, shakes, okay, Kampate. In fact, of course, we know the moment it becomes strong, everything can be pushed off. So Kampate Pipavanaha. So as I was mentioning earlier, in all these cases one has to understand that there is a certain force which is governing the motion of all this. And we perceive of that Brahman to be in the form of that force. Okay? That is how even internally when you think of Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha Kena pranah prathamah praiti yuktaha. There is a certain impulse which governs our activities. There is an impulse which governs our thinking. So this is what we call as that mula, urdhva moolam. Okay. So that is what he is referring to. Kampate pipavanaha shampakshanam dyotate. Shampakshanam dyotate. Shampa is that vidyut. Kshanam dyotate. Okay. Just flashes light. Okay, for a second. Kshampakshanam dyotate. So now, if you compare with the mantra, so ambujaha, that was not there. In the mantra, bhayadasyagnis tapati, bhayad tapati suryaha, bhayad indrascha vayuscha. So Chandra is not there. So the Chandra is introduced. Then Shampa is introduced. Then Sarvam Bhusahate. Bhuhu Sarvam Sahate. Sarvam Sahate. In fact, one of the synonyms of Bhuhu is Sarvam Saha. Okay? I tell you, you repeat. So the Samara is useful. Sarvam Saha Vasumati.
Sarvam Saha Vasumati. Sarvam Saha Vasumati.
Vasudhorvi Vasundhara. Vasudha Urvi. Vasudhorvi Vasundhara. Vasudhorvi Vasundhara. These are common names for Prithvi. Sarvam Saha Vasumati.
Sarvam Saha Vasumati. Sarvam Saha Vasumati.
Vasudhorvi Vasundhara.
Vasudhorvi Vasundhara.
Vasudhorvi Vasundhara. Okay, so that is what he has in his mind. Vasundhara. Sarvam Saha. Sarvam Saha. So you have to say Sarvam Saha. You have to say Sarvam Saha means Saha Sarvam. Sarvam Saha is one compound word. Okay. Sarvam Saha Vasumati. Sarvam Sahati. It just bears it. In fact, in Narayaniyam we have a nice explanation. I'll tell you. Tvatkarunye pravritte kaiva nahi guruhu lokavritte pi bhuman sarvakranta hi bhumihi nahi chalati tataha satkshamam shikshayeyam. The poet says, the moment I have your grace, Ishvara, I will develop a certain vision by which I will be able to learn things from all these inanimate objects around me. Tvatkarunye pravritte kaiva nahi guruhu. So who will not become my guru? Lokavritte pi bhuman. So the first thing that he says is sarvakranta hi bhumihi. You dig, you do whatever thing, you go on drilling. Nahi chalati tataha satkshamam shikshayam. May I learn what is kshama from Prithvi. Sarvakranta hi bhumi. Before somebody says something, this fellow gets perturbed. See, in Tamil we have a word, munukkana kovam. Sarvakranta hi bhumi nahi chalati tatas satkshamam shikshayam. Grinhiyam isha tattad vishaya parichayepi aprasaktim samirat. May I learn from the Vayu. Grinhiyam isha tattad vishaya parichayepi aprasaktim. So the wind goes over the rose garden, picks up the smell of rose. It goes over So where something is being sold, so let us say fish market, it will pick up that smell. Then anyway it goes elsewhere, just goes. So it just drops things. So at some point it just picks up passive. So similarly, if something comes to your mind, it may be there for a short while, and if it tries to occupy more, you should just flush it out. Aprasaktim samirat. Why keep in our mind and then spoil the tranquility? Aprasaktim samirat. That is how he goes on with the verse. Anyway, so sarvam bhusahade sarvam saha payo nidhiraho nagacchati swavadhe. This is again another very interesting thing. Payo nidhiraho nagacchati swavadhe. Swavadhe means it does not transgress the boundary that has been laid for it. Payo nidhiraho nagacchati swavadhe lokan pantija lokapaha. In fact, there are 5 more things he has listed. No? Ambujaha, Shampa, Bhuhu, Payonidhihi, Lokapaha. So finally he comes to Mrityu. So the mantra says 5 things. He actually puts in 10 things. Sarvam bhussahate payonidhiraho nagacchati swavadhe lokan panticha lokapan bahuna. Lokan panticha lokapan bahuna mrityuh param dhavati. Lokapaha, so basically refers to Lokapalaha. So there are various deities are assigned with the protection of various lokas. So they are doing their own duty because of this Brahman. Okay. Then finally he says, Kim Bahuna, that is how we have to understand. Bahuna, no Bahuna. So why keep listing? Okay. Mrityuh param dhavati. So Mrityuhu should be conceived as something which actually gobbles away. So at some point you are brought in, at some point you are taken back. The forms keep changing all the time. So in a large scale, if you just see, you will be able to appreciate. So that is what he is trying to convey here. With few more examples, he wants to drive in the point that has been stated in the mantra. Okay, now let us read the commentary. Vyakhya. Lokaha asmat bhitaha niyamena cheshtate ityuktameva vivrinoti. Uktameva vivrinoti. In the earlier verse, earlier mantra also we had, see, Jagat cheshtate, something like that was there. So now it is elaborated with a few examples. Prabhoho Ishvarat bhitaha agnihi dahati. Very simple. Then Kaha Suryaha tapati Ambujaha Chandraha tapam nihanti Jishnu Indraha varishati. So Indra is supposed to be the Devata for producing Vrishti. That is how we have this interesting episode in Bhagavata. So then only this mountain is taken by Giridhari is famous. So this Indra is the Devata. See, Indro varishati pavanascha kampate chalati shampaha kshanameva dyotate. Momentarily it strikes and then goes off. Bhuhu sarvam api sahate. Api can be taken as bold because it is there in the mantra. It has to be taken here. This api can be associated in various places. Sarvam bhuhu sarvam api sahate. Then he says payo nidhihi. Payaha sometimes means milk, sometimes means water. Okay. So here one has to take it as water. Payo nidhihi. Swavadhehe. Swavadhehe. Avadhihi is limit, boundary. So that he describes as Velayaha. Velayaha. The word Vela is an interesting word. It is an interesting verse in Yaduvamsha. Repeat. Savela Vapravalayam. Vapravalayam. Savela Vapravalayam. Parikhi Kritasagaram. Parikhi Krita. Kritasagaram. Parikhi Kritasagaram. Ananyashasana Murvim. Ananyashasana Murvim. Ananyashasana Murvim. Shashasaikapurim iva. Shashasaikapurim iva. Shashasaikapurim iva. This is while describing Dilipa and the kind of power that he was enjoying. The poet brings in this. This is a very beautiful imagination of the poet. That's why I said, since Vela reminded me. Savela Vapravalayam Parikhi Krita Sagaram. So Vapra basically means the barrier, boundary, barricade, etc. Savela Vapravalayam. Vela is the coast. See the coast that you have. And Parikhi Krita Sagaram, he says. This is a brilliant usage. The word Parikha refers to moat, So around the forts, you will find a stream of water, okay, a kind of a thing. This is called moat. So crossing that will be little difficult, okay. So if the enemy comes, they cannot just come close to. For that, they will keep some big water, okay, channel around the court. This is called moat. So the poet imagines, as far as the Dilipa's kingdom was concerned, it is the Samudra which forms the moat. Parikhi Kritasagaram. See, this Parikha which was not, some Sagara which was not a Parikha has been made Parikha. Parikhi Kritasagaram. Okay. Savela Vapravalayam. See, Savela Vapravalayam. So what does he do? So the coast that is formed. See, so those actually form the barrier. Savela Vapravalayam Parikhi Kritasagaram. So then he says Ananyashasana Murvi. Urvi, the entire Prithvi, Ananya Shasana, means there is no other person who will place orders as to how things have to function here. Anyena Shasitum Ashakya Bhavati, Iyam Urvi. Okay. So, na Anya Shasana, Ananya Shasana. Okay. Ananya Shasana Murvi. And he says, Shashas Ekapurim iva. See, Prasa. Ekapurim iva Shashasa. Means normally the kings have a small boundary. Within this boundary, he is the king. Right? So, as if the entire Prithvi is only one Puri. So, this is how he was. So, Shashasa Ekapurim iva. So, Vela is a beautiful usage. Savela Vapravalayam. Payonithihi Swavathehe Velaya Na. Then Na Agachati. See, Swavathehe Na Agachati. Swavathehe Na Agachati means it doesn't transgress the boundary that has been produced. Swavathehe Na Agachati. Avadhim Ullanghya. So it doesn't come. Swavathehe Na Agachati. In fact, there is yet another beautiful verse in Ramayana. There is Kaikeyi, so you may recall. So once you are seeing Kaikeyi, when was seeking this boon from Dasharatha. See, when she was seeking the boon from Dasharatha swoons and then pleads, right? Okay, please ask for something else, etc., etc. Then Kaikeyi uses this as an example. Saibhyashyena kapotiye, Shena kapotiye,
Shaiphyashyena kapotiye,
Swamam sampakshine dadau,
Swamam sam dakshine dadau, Swamam sam
Pakshine,
dakshine dadau,
Alarkas chakshushi dattva, Alarkas chakshushi dattva, Alarkas chakshushi
datva,
Jagamagatiruttamam,
Jagamagatiruttamam,
Sagaras samayam krutva, Sagaras samayam krutva, Navelam ativartate, Navelam ativartate. So then, having given this example, she says, Samayam manratam karshihi, manratam karshihi, Samayam manratam karshihi, Purvavrittam anusmaran, Purvavrittam anusmaran. This is an important message, that's why I thought I'd just give you. So she says, Dasharatha, she wants Dasharatha, rather cautions, may you not transgress. Purvavrittam anusmaran. Purvavrittam is all these episodes that are available for you to discipline yourself and make you function the way you have to function as a king. So may you recall all of them and then not transgress the discipline that has been laid down by these people. Samayam ma anritam karshihi. Samayam anritam karshihi. Samayam anritam krutva navelam ativartate. Sagaras samayam krutva navelam ativartate. See, having said that, she says, Sagaraha samayam krutva. You learn from him. Navelam ativartate. See, he does not come beyond the boundary. Similarly, the boundary is laid by the words that are given. So these are great people who have sacrificed everything for this. How can you do this? Anyway, so Swavadhehe velayaha na agacchati. So it doesn't do that. Velam atikramya na ayati. Lokapascha lokan panti bahuna vachanena nukim. Why keep talking too much? Mrityuhu param mrityurapi dhavati. So here the word param, so Ramarāyaka interprets, if you read the two sentences, in the first sense he says param should be understood as api, mrityuhu api. So even Yama he does not translate. Then in the next one he says param atishayena, you can take it as an adjective to dhavati. Atishayena dhavati. Even this fellow runs. Atishayena dhavati iti va. Okay, let us read the next verse. Etat sadhvasakaranam kalayitum. Sadhvasakaranam kalayitum. Etat sadhvasakaranam kalayitum. Pragdeha patad buddha. Pragdeha patat buddha. Pragdeha patat buddha. Cheknoti vimuchyate na yadiha. Cheknoti vimuchyate na yadiha. Cheknoti vimuchyate na yadiha. Sargeshvadhir jayate. Sargeshvadhir jayate. Sargeshvadhir jayate. Adarshe mukhamikshate hi purushaha. Adarshe mukhamikshate hi purushaha. आदर्शे मुखमीक्षते हि पुरुषः स्पष्टं नतो ये पुनः स्पष्टं नतो ये पुनः स्पष्टं नतो ये पुनः तद्वन् मानवजन्मनि स्फुटतरम् तद्वन् मानवजन्मनि स्फुटतरम् तद्वन् मानवजन्मनि स्फुटतरम् नान्यत्र सद्दर्शनम् नान्यत्र सद्दर्शनम् नान्यत्र सद्दर्शनम्. This 51st verse paraphrases two mantras, mantra 4 and 5. So the earlier verse, bhayadasyagnishtapati bhayattapati suryaha bhayajendrasya vayishya mrityurdhavati panchamaha. Having said that, what is the next mantra? Iha chedashakad bodhum raksharirasya visrasaha tatas sargeshu lokeshu sharirattvaya kalpate. So this fourth mantra is the first half of this verse. Iha chedashakad bodhum praksharirasya visrasaha tatas sargeshu lokeshu sharirattvaya kalpate. So iha chet, so here has to be understood as iha asmin loke, see manushya loke. That is how we have to understand the word iha. Iha chet ashakat bodhum, bodhum ashakat. So ashakat means he has failed to, not possible for him to understand. Understand what? The nature of Atma. The Brahman that was described. Okay. So this, if he does not understand, ihachet ashakat, bodhum ashakat. Then the mantra says, sharirattvaya kalpate. Praksharirasya visrasaha. Sharirasya visrasaha prak means before you leave this human form. Okay. If you do not, so having said that, if you do, what will happen? So both are stated here. Okay. So some words have to be supplied here. It has been done by Bhagavad-Pada in his commentary. Perhaps that we can take later. So we will see roughly the meaning of this first half of the verse now. It says, Etat sadhvasakaranam. Sadhvasakaranam. This is a usage which is not that familiar. Sadhvasa. Sadhvasa means bhayakaranam. So sadhvasakaranam means bhayakaranam. So in the previous mantra we had this. So bhayat, 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 etc. we were saying. So anything that actually makes you do, okay, sadhvasakaranam. In fact, bhaya makes this person, these people function. So if you are not doing your duty, then if the boss comes, then everyone will start getting into action, right? The students will keep chanting. Chanting is okay. Chatting in my office. Suppose I enter, everyone will sit into their own work. So this happens. So etat sadhvasakaranam. Sadhvasakaranam, sometimes the mere entrance, I mean, we may not shout. Mere entry actually creates a certain fear. Okay. So this is how Brahman has to be understood. The presence of all this force makes every entity keeps function. Etat sadhvasakaranam. Etat sadhasakaranam kalayitum. Yesterday I was seeing in NIT Calicut. The security people. Some fellow was looking at mobile and sitting somewhere, and then some fellow was talking. The moment the car enters, they will just keep, and then they will put their hat, and then they will do this. So it is not that we are going to do anything. It just makes them. So etat sadhasakaranam kalayitum bhayakaranam pragdehapatat buddha. If he is a wise person, shaknoti chet shaknoti vimuchyate. Shaknoti means kalayitum shaknoti. So you remember the word kalaye has various meanings. The other day I was explaining. So here this word kalaye means avagantum shaknoti. Kalayitum. So it is kalayitum shaknoti. So if he knows etat sadhasakaranam kalayitum shaknoti chet. Suppose he understands this, pragdehapatat buddha. The wise person makes efforts. In fact, there is a nice verse right at the beginning of Buddha. In fact, he uses adhihi. So in the first half he says Buddha, in the next quarter he says adhihi. Na yadi. Suppose he doesn't. Ha sargeshvadhir jayate. Adhihi sargeshu jayate. This is how he says. In fact, the verse says itah kon vasti mudhatma. Itah kon vasti mudhatma. Itah kon vasti mudhatma. Yastu swarthe pramadyati. Yastu swarthe pramadyati. Yastu swarthe pramadyati. Durlabham manusham deham. Manusham deham. Durlabham manusham deham. Prapya tatrapi paurusham. Prapya tatrapi paurusham. Prapya tatrapi paurusham. He says, this is right at the beginning of Vivek Chudamani. Itah konvasti mudhatma yastu swarthe pramadyati. That is how Rāmarāyakavi uses the word adhi. Mudhatma, he says. So, itah konvasti. Who can there be? A fool than this fellow. Can we find a better fool than this fellow? Who completely engages himself in swartha. Swarthe pramadyati. Swarthe here refers to fulfilling his own desires, fulfilling his own wishes, not trying to do an iota for others. Okay. Itah konvasti mudhatma yastu swarthe pramadyati. Durlabham manusham deham. There are so many dehas that we find in the world. Okay. At most, those dehas can only help their own jati, not beyond that. Some can serve little more, but this human can dedicate himself for the service of others. Okay. So, the one who completely indulges himself in fulfilling his own needs, then he is a fool. So, there he is actually referring to, in the context of understanding the nature of self, so Vedanta. But for that, you have to have all these gunas, right? shamadama, uparati, titiksha, all that you need. Okay. So all that you need, and the swarthe pramadhyati, if you are there, how can you have titiksha? How can you have shama? How can you have dama? The uparati, if you want, the moment you do, you will have uparati. You don't need anything else. Hitah kon vasti mudhatma yastu swarthe pramadhyati. So swarthe means one after another you will keep on fulfilling, and where is the time for you to contemplate an Atma? Higher goals in life. That is how he asks, hitah kon vasti mudhatma. So here Rāmarāyaka says, etat sadhasakaranam kalayitum. This Brahman, which is dwelling in every entity, which we described as bhayahetu in these previous verses, mantras, itah konvasti mudhatma. See, kalayitum, if he does not make efforts to understand this, then he will enter into the circle. So, etat sadhasakaranam kalayitum praddeha patad buddhaha cheknoti vimuchyate. If he is able to transcend this swartha, engaging in this world all the time, then he will have some time to contemplate on higher things in life. And thereby vimuchyate. So he will free himself. Vimuchyate. So he will himself free. Free, not necessarily from this world, but he will be able to enjoy a certain inner peace. Chaknumati vimuchyate na yadi. If you do not do, ha. So this is a phrase that Ramarāyaka has used. So it is just bursting out of him. Ha. What a pity. That is what it means here. Viha sargeshu adhihi jayate. He enters into the cycle of sukha dukha anubhava. Vimuchyate na yadiha sargeshvadhir jayate. Okay, I think we'll stop here. So we'll continue further in the next class. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavīrjam Karavāvahi Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarve Pisukhinas Santu Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhaveet. Om